Mascumotions podcast, and once again, and OG back for however many times you done watch this shit. Um, Out the gate, I just want to say one thing. Fuck Tory Lanez and fuck Megan Thee Stallion. That ain't none of my business. So we're not going to discuss that on this podcast, but we are going to discuss something that's close to whatever they had going on. I don't know how to segue into this, but I'm going to get into it however I get into it. So, as long as I've been alive, I've watched my family members be in these troubled, disruptive, disrespectful, not so stable relationships. And I've also watched my grandparents be in what I thought was a stable relationship, but then when I found out later it wasn't somewhat of a relationship. So I feel like I need to speak on this. And my question is, what happened to Black love? What happened to Black relationships? What happened to Black happiness? What happened to that moment that Black men and Black women were in love with each other? And I've been overwhelmingly sad about what we've become because it's like, everybody has social media, and it's like you don't hear the pale people go back and forth about Caucasian love. You don't hear Hispanic people go back and forth about Hispanic love. You don't hear Native American people go back and forth about Native American love. You don't hear any of the Asian people go back and forth about Asian love, but you always hear Black people go back and forth about Black women and Black men. So where did the divide come from? Because I'm utterly confused. And it hurts my heart a little bit because I know that we're a group of the most loving people that you've ever seen on the face of the planet. We don't love ourselves. Let's just take a minute and digest that. We don't love ourselves. Because I've watched black women and black men go back and forth on what it takes to be loved and what is considered love and what is required of love so much that I'm like, we really don't love each other for real. And it's the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I know where it all started, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but I just want to take a minute to say, how about we get back to loving each other? Black men and black women, how about we just start loving each other again? Because we're so divided and we hurt each other so much because of other people's standards that we don't understand that we're only hurting ourselves. Just take that in for a moment. Digest it how you will. We've literally become our own worst enemy. And we hate each other so much that we will literally do anything to tear the other half of ourselves apart. And it's not our fault. Because again, like I've said before, we're not responsible for any of America's problems. Never have been, never will be. We're just a product of our environment. We were shown how to handle situations, and we took that and made it our own. So again, what I want to say is, when are we going to get to the point that we understand that we are our own worst enemy, bro? We have to stop this. And this is going to be a podcast that I'm not going to bash men. I'm not going to bash women. I'm not going to bash the others that decide to be with the same sex or be with no sex at all. I'm not going to bash them, they, or those at all. It's not one of those podcasts. Because honestly, I really don't care. You do what you do, and if you're happy with what you do, then that's all you can do. And that's your business. But I want to talk about those black men that love black women and want them to be less masculine, and those black women who love black men that want them to be more masculine. That's all I'm talking about right now. So there was a moment in time that black women and black men loved each other. There was no outside influence. Nobody could tell them any different. And of course, this was after slavery, because during slavery, during slavery, black men and black women were still getting married under the guise of slavery. Although, in the eyes of palm colored people, it wasn't official. But then there was no rule about it. So it really didn't matter. And they loved each other so much that they created a generation of people that would possibly have to deal with the bondage and hardship that they had to endure. And then after that, after so many generations of that bondage and slavery, because it was about 200 or so years, people got free. And then once those people got free, they still tried to hold on to the happiness of black love. And then they got older and they created a generation that went into what will be called the Black Renaissance. And then once those people were older and got up in age, they started to go back down south. And then it would create an age called the Civil Rights Movement. Now, the thing about the Civil Rights Movement is, and what I've always tried to understand is, like how the Civil Rights Movement started, why would a group of black people try to work so hard to sit at a food counter in a black or in a white diner when we know for a fact that white people don't season their fucking food? Like, who does that? Like, like we know for a fact white people don't fucking season their food. That's literally why they call us. We know for a fact fucking white people don't season their food. They call us when they need a little bit of in their life. That's why they had the slaves cooking all the food, because they knew for a fact they didn't know how to season that shit. So that's why I say that all of the slave owners and all the slave owners' babies were partly black anyway. They're partially black because you grew up on black food and all of your kids grew up on, excuse me, black breast milk. So there's a percentage of y'all that are us anyway. But that's neither here or there. I'll cover that in another podcast. At what point did black women feel like black men weren't protecting them anymore. And I know most people are going to say, well, it was around the 80s where, okay, well, let's talk about the 80s. Let's just skip forward in time. Let's just skip over the civil rights movement. We'll go back to that in a minute. Well, let's skip forward to the 80s. Well, when the 80s came around and Ronald Reagan is president, and all of the state and city legislative inductees and representatives that people voted in, quote unquote, got in office, they decided that they wanted to shut down all of the industrial and recreational activities and infrastructure that was set in place before they came in office. And when that happened, all of these young black men and these slightly older black men who have been working in this industry and the black men who thought they were going to have a job in this industry are now lost. So they don't have anything to do. They don't have any jobs because the plants are based in their neighborhoods because they felt like where's a better place to put this neighborhood is around the plant. And where's a better place to put this plant other than this neighborhood where all these black people live? We're going to pollute their air with chemicals, but whatever. We're going to talk about that at another podcast. Um, so once they don't have that, and then this drug comes out that's cheap to get, easy to sell, and everybody wants because they either have to deal with depression due to the fact that they don't have a job anymore, or they have to deal with the fact that they're not going to have a skill after the fact that they come out of school. So they end up smoking crack, snorting cocaine, shooting heroin, doing all these things. And you either got a choice that you're going to use it or you're going to sell it. If you use it, there's a strong possibility that you're going to overdose. You're going to get to the point that you need it and you're going to become a junkie and you're not going to be too worried about what your family has going on and you're going to abandon your family, or the fact that you can be around to support your family, but there's a possibility that you're going to go to jail. So I'd rather be around to support my family, although there's a possibility that I might go to jail, although I can possibly avoid the police as long as I possibly can. So I'm going to choose to sell it instead of use it. And then they lock me up. And then I'm not there to take care of my kids. My kids don't see me. She brings it another man. He tries to be the best father he can be, but at the end of the day, my kids know that that's not my daddy. And woo woo. And then on top of that, here comes the welfare system. The welfare system, if I could say anything, I would say that the welfare system is the worst system ever devised on the face of this planet. Because it was literally a system that told black women, like, hey, I understand you want to be with this black man, and I understand that you appreciate him and you love him and you care about him, but hey, I'll put some money in your pocket. I'll put some food in your refrigerator, and I'll put a roof over your head if you get rid of him. And then it came at the same time that all of these black men are losing their jobs. They're losing their pensions. They're losing their way of existence. What do you think they're gonna choose? Because they think that they're doing the best thing for their family. And then next thing you know, there's an epidemic of black men leaving the homes because they felt useless. And as a black man that's felt useless before, I can say it's a horrible fucking feeling when you're a black man and you feel useless. You'll do anything. It's not that you want to, but you'll do anything to try to feel like you're worth something. And it'll hurt your heart half the shit that you have to do. I know it's fucked up. Shit ain't gonna feel good, but you'll do a whole bunch of shit. Take menial, meaningless jobs that you really hate just to try to put some money in your pocket just so you can feel like you're somebody and you're something. I've been there, done that. But to all the black men that are having to deal with that shit, bro, you're never gonna be able to compete. You're never gonna be able to keep up. You're never gonna be able to one up the system. You're never gonna be able to compete with somebody that can put a roof over our head, bro. You're not. Just is what it is. I know you hate it. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. You're never gonna be able to compete with somebody that can put a roof over our head, bro. And then you're gonna have to sit in the courtroom. You're gonna have to sit in a courtroom with a judge that doesn't even know your children, has never seen them before, don't know how much they love you. And she's gonna ask you, how many times have you seen your children this year? And you're not gonna be able to answer because you've been working so much that you don't even really get to see your kids. You don't even really get to see your bed for real. Then she's gonna ask you, because it's most likely gonna be a she. I don't know why, but every time I've been in child support court, it's always been a she. She's gonna ask you, how many times have you kept your kids overnight? Well, I can't keep my kids overnight because honestly, I don't have a house that I can actually own by myself because I can't afford it. And I can't afford it because if I'm working one job and you're taking almost half of my check every 2 weeks or every week or every month, how can I afford to live? How can I afford somewhere to live when a 2 or 3 bedroom costs $1,500-$1,600 a month on the low end. Excuse me. And I'm giving you half my check. And then on top of that, I got to pay taxes. So make it make sense. And at the end of the day, they can't make it make sense. They're never going to make it make sense. They're always going to come up with a number. Because that's all you are is a number. That's all your children are is a number. And that's all it's ever going to be. They don't care about homes that they tear apart. They don't care about families that they diminish. Because at the end of the day, they don't have to deal with it. They're Caucasian. Their whole family is together. They know all of their parents, all of their grandparents. All of their children live in the same home. They're married to their husband. They've been with him since they were 16, 17. Not understanding that this is the system that you put in place for me. And then you're punishing me for living in the system that you put in place for me to be in. So again, I ask, what happened to the love? We don't love each other anymore. Black women are afraid of black men, are afraid of black men. Let me be clear. I want to come in clear to y'all. Black women are afraid of black men, and black men are afraid to love black women because we're both living on this string of existence that we've both been set to live on, not understanding that we're not the ones that separated ourselves from each other in the first place. We hate each other simply based off something that had nothing to do with us. And I'm sorry, I'm moving the mic, but we hate each other based off of something that started with a group of people that thought they were doing the best for us. Like you literally said, bro, there was literally a group of people that sat in, bro, worried about we want to sit at white food counters, not understanding that we had our own food and our own restaurants and our own everything. Because if you ever hear somebody from the 60s actually talk, they will tell you that everybody that participated in the civil rights movement felt like white ice was colder. And I heard that and I was like, they actually did. Although it wasn't, it was the same ice. It was the same ice. And we actually hurt ourselves in the long run. I wouldn't say we hurt ourselves in the long run because, they actually destroyed most of the black communities that we had already built anyway. And I would list them off, but it would take way too long because they've destroyed so many. Most of them are fucking lakes now. So if you go to your nearest state and there's a lake that is famous for whatever, it most likely, or a park that's become a national park, most likely it was a black community. So I'm not going to even get to the point where I list those off. The most notable one that I can actually note off that I'm just going to touch on it and then move on, probably two of them. Nah, I'm not going to do that. If you know, you know. If you don't, do your research. Because this literally happened to us, bro. And we were actually scarred from it. And then what happened? Sweep it under the rug. And this shit happened over and over and over again. And then after the fact, they just kept on doing it. And it's like they looked at it like it was nothing. And it's the most sad thing in the world, bro. Because how could you hate something so much that you were willing to destroy it? For multiple generations. And I'm not saying it's our fault. I'm not saying it's not our fault. But we damn sure played a part. Like we did this to ourselves. because we sold out ourselves and we bought into something that had nothing to do with us. And it's fucked up. Not gonna lie. But why do we treat ourselves like this on a day-to-day basis? Because I ain't gonna lie to you. The thing that I hate most about this separation in Black love is I know for a fact we love each other. We just don't know how to talk to each other. Like both sides have been through so much shit and have been hurt so much. Let me fix my face. Cause I got all type of shit all on my face. I don't want y'all to see me raggedy. But we have been trained and taught to hate ourselves so much that it's sad. My bad. Let me get my light up. Speaking of which, y'all look at my lighter. This is my favorite lighter. And the reason why I love that lighter so much is for what he stands for. Man, we hate each other so much. And I know it's not us. It's learned behavior. It's taught behavior. And they pump so many visual aspects of Black men and Black women not being together, and so many visual aspects of Black men that don't like Black women and Black women that don't like Black men, and so many tonal versions of the same thing that after the fact that because people don't really understand, bro, that genetics plays a major part in this. We didn't start like this. We didn't come from this. We came from something way better than this. And then over time, it just got worse. We got to the point that we hated each other. And I don't blame us. We're just going by what we taught and what we know. That's it. And I hate it for us. Because I know for a fact, in my heart, bro, I love Black women. I ain't never tried no other race ever. A day in my life. possibly never can because I love black women so much. I feel like black women are the mecca of everything, of all existence on the face of the earth. Nothing would exist had it not been for black women. But black women are at the point that they don't like men that look like me. I mean, I don't think I'm that bad. I might be a little ugly. I might be a lot ugly. I might be ugly as fuck. But black men in general, I don't know. I be trying to figure out where the fuck the love went. Because it used to be there. Going down through history, I'm watching it, and it's like it was there at one point, and then now every black woman I see saying "fuck a nigga," and I'm like, all right, that's cool. You gotta make your bread how you make your bread, but you gonna give up on your people for it? And I understand. And if you don't want to watch me on this point, completely get it. But as far as music goes, that's not our fault. That's the Jewish people fault. And I say ish with a strong ish because it's ish because you're ish. Like you a little bit, but not for real, for real. You might was over there. Like I'm from 60s. And if we got a homie that ain't from 60s, but he be hanging out with us, he affiliated. So you're affiliated, but you're not from that. So you're affiliated with the real Jews, but you're not a real Jew or a real Jewel. You're not from the crown for real. Call it what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. And I say a spade because a spade is you feeling the rest. So, with that being said, let's get back to loving each other, bro. Because we didn't start this. We don't hate each other for real. We don't. This is taught behavior. We really love each other. You learn one thing from where we came from, and we learned one thing from where we came from, and then we tried to put it back together, and then something else happened, and then they tried to separate us again. Because the main reason they tried to separate black men and black women so much is because, like, that's literally the centerpiece and the core and the power base in Black community, because without that, there can be no community. Because if Black women and Black men ain't on the same page, there can be no community. And that's what they're afraid of. And that's what they want us to do, fight amongst each other. So how about let's just do this. Let's just put all our differences aside, accept each other for what we are, and work on making each other better. And I get it. There's strong Black men out here and there's strong Black women out here. And I understand. You feel like you don't need nobody. You feel like you can do without. You feel like you can go without. That's cool. But are you really ever going to be whole if you don't have the whole picture? Because the whole picture and the whole thing of it is, I live by a Ankh reality. If you don't know what an Ankh is, look it up. AHNK. Look it up. And the reality is, there's the phallus, which is the male. There's the ovaries at the top, which is the woman. And there's the two wings, which is the children. That's it. That's all. I don't know anything else that makes sense to me other than that. The man is the river to reality. The mother is the gateway into reality. And then you have children that span out on the sides of the river. That's how it works. Now, I could be wrong, but I feel like I'm not. And like I said before, this is my show. I can say what I want to say. You want to say something different? Prove me wrong. If you can't, go on about your business. I'm out here trying to reunite Black households, and you out here trying to mind my business. But anyway, stop bumping the mic, G. We have to love ourselves more. We have to stop letting other people dictate who we're going to be. We have to stop letting other people dictate where our timeline leads. We have to stop letting other people tell us what we need, because we really didn't need it in the first place. We really would have been all right. Like, let's take it back to the 60s. Had all those people not decided that we wanted to sit in and we wanted to be a part of Caucasian culture, imagine where we could have been right now. And then fast forward, had all those women said no to the welfare system and decided that they was gonna stick by their man no matter what, imagine where we would be right now. We didn't know how to stick by each other, bro. We haven't known how to stick by each other since we got here. And the main thing that fucked it up so bad was the fact that shit, when we might land, shit, you and the kids might go one way, and then they might sell your husband somewhere down the river and you never see him again. You feel like he abandoned you because he couldn't make it back to you. Of course he couldn't make it back to you, because if he tried to make it back to you, they're gonna chop his fucking foot off. And that's the same thing that's happening right now. If your man try to make it back to you after the fact that y'all done had kids and did all that, the court system will chop his fucking foot off. They'll chop his fucking head off if they could, but they know if they do that, he gonna die. He can't pay child support. So we ain't got no money in our pockets. Did you know that child support is one of the highest grossing institutions in the United States? You don't believe me? Go look it up. I don't have to lie. They make the upwards of $700 to $800 billion a year. Just off child support payments. So, with that being said, um, and it's not just us, but I'm saying it's mostly us. Because for some reason, we don't know how to trust each other anymore. Because somewhere down the line, something went wrong. A lot of things went wrong. It might have started with the whole slave trade, where you get sent one way, the man of the house gets sent another way, and you feel like he got sent that way and it's his fault. It's not his fault. He had nothing to do with that. And then again, fast forward, early 60s, late 60s, all the plants where he been working, he has a pension, he has a retirement plan, he has all these things going on, he got benefits and everything. That gets shut down. He has a job no more. That's not his fault. He had nothing to do with that. Everything that has happened to the black family and the black power base has had nothing to do with black men. We didn't do it. but yet you make it our fault. And then we try to find a way to make it work. We're so stressed out because we're trying to make it work. So either we're going to use drugs or we're going to do drugs. And then we end up using drugs. We end up strung out, doing whatever, lose our family anyway. Or we end up selling drugs, get caught by the police. They've been waiting on us to slip up. We go to jail. We lose our family anyway. And then we get out. You gone. You done moved on. It's literally a lose-lose for black men. And then there's these group of Caucasian people that's sitting back in the background like, hey, we'll give you all this. We understand the man of the house is gone. We understand the man of the house isn't there anymore. We'll give you all of this. All you got to do is make sure that they don't come back around. What you think you're going to do? Or if he does want to be around, we have this paperwork that you can fill out, and then we'll just take all of his money and give it to you because he hasn't been around anyway. What do you really need him for? Yeah, that. So all I can say is, whether you believe me, don't believe me, want to listen to me or don't want to listen to me, care, you don't care. Let's just get back to loving each other, bro. Let's get back to believing in each other more than we believe in other people. Because other people don't really care about us. If they cared about us, they would have been treating us like we were human a long time ago. And they still haven't gotten to the point that they treated us like we're human in the first place. So, because crazy thing is, this is a sidebar for black women. Be mad at me if you want to. Cancel me if you want to. I ain't got no money, so you can't really cancel me. The Bible said, if you believe in the Bible, I really don't, but I'll quote a little bit of the Bible every now and then because it has a little bit of the teachings in it, and it makes sense sometimes, not all the time, but let's go with that since most people believe in it. If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you teach a man how to fish, you finish the rest. So, with that being said, are they giving you a fish or are they teaching you how to fish? You decide.